The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 115.
Today we are pulling apart a really brilliant Chapter 115 of the classic Chinese text, The Legend of Jigong. And this story, it's a masterclass in tonal whiplash.
It really is.
It starts as this supernatural buddy cop movie on a river, and then, without any warning, it just slams the brakes and drops us into a devastating high-stakes courtroom thriller.
Right, all about circumstantial evidence and false confessions.
Exactly. So what's the mission?
Well, it's a text that forces us to look at the anatomy of danger. We are going to contrast two very different types of threats today. On one hand, you have the physical, overt threat of armed assassins.
Right, the guys in the river.
Right. But on the other hand, you have the quiet, insidious, systemic threat of a deeply flawed human justice system.
Yeah, which is way scarier, honestly.
It is. And watching this eccentric monk navigate both of these worlds reveals something really profound about how we process truth versus appearance.
Okay, so let's start on that boat, at a place the text calls Little Dragon Mouth. Jigong is our monk, and he's escorting these 4 thieves alongside 2 officers, Chai and Du. Now, Jigong senses an ambush is coming.
Right, he knows they're out there.
But instead of shouting, arm yourselves, or drawing a weapon, he invents this fairness fish game. He drops the rope, and when it suddenly gets impossibly heavy, he tells the bewildered officers to help him pull, and up comes a man, a highly specialized outlaw.
And we really need to look at the specific details the author uses to describe these outlaws because it sets the stakes immediately.
Yeah.
The first man they drag onto the deck is Sun Delang, who operates under the moniker Golden-Haired Seahorse.
Which is such a great name.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, they drop the slipknot again, and they pull up his partner, Sun Deming, the Ham River Pig.
The names are amazing. They sound like classical martial arts heavyweights.
Yeah.
But they aren't just, colorful characters. The text is incredibly specific about their gear.
Very specific, yeah.
When they get pulled out of the water, they are wearing water-repellent clothing, fish skin hats, and oil silk pants.
Right.
Let's pause on that. Fish skin hats and oil silk pants. This is tactical gear for a 12th century Navy SEAL.
Exactly. The oil silk and the fish skin, those are actual historical methods for waterproofing and retaining body heat in cold water.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. This tells the reader, and it tells the officers on the boat, that these men are not just random bandits who decided to go for a swim.
They didn't just fall in.
Right. They are equipped, prepared, and highly specialized for prolonged underwater combat. They were hired to ambush this specific boat because the authorities are trying to transport another major criminal, this guy Hua Yunlong.
Okay.
So their plan was likely to wait underwater, drill holes in the hull to sink the transport, or just silently pick off the officers one by one.
Which brings up a massive question for me.
Yeah.
Because I really need to push back on the mechanics of this scene.
Sure. Yeah.
On the surface, the text presents this as magic. Jigong drops a slipknot, says a chant, and catches elite assassins. But how does a slipknot actually catch a guy who is swimming?
Right. It sounds ridiculous.
I kept trying to visualize this. Is it purely a supernatural parlor trick, or is there a physical, tactical reality to what he's doing here?
I really don't think we should write it off as just magic. If you look at the psychology of the assassins in the water, it makes perfect sense.
Really? How so?
Well, they're waiting in the dark.
Right.
And suddenly, a heavy stone tied to a thick rope drops into the water near them.
Okay.
If you are an underwater saboteur and a rope drops down from the hull of a ship, what do you assume it is?
Oh, like a sounding line. Or maybe an anchor.
Precisely. Or perhaps a grappling line that has just fallen overboard?
Yeah.
Your instinct as an assassin trying to board the ship or stabilize yourself to drill a hole is to grab that rope. Yeah, you pull on it to test its weight, or you loop your arm through it to anchor yourself in the current. And the moment you put weight on a slip knot.
It cinches tight.
Exactly.
So he's weaponizing their own tactical training against them.
Yes.
He drops a trap that looks like a standard nautical tool, and they walk right into it.
They absolutely do.
But that still doesn't explain the absurdity on the deck for me. Why the whole fairness fish routine? Because if he knows they are down there, why not just tell officers Chai and Du to prepare for a fight? Jigong acts like a chess grandmaster who sits down at a high-stakes tournament and just starts pretending he's playing checkers.
I'd argue that the absurdity is a highly deliberate psychological tactic on his part.
Really?
Think about the emotional temperature on that boat. You are in hostile territory. If Jigong suddenly yells, "Hey, we have underwater assassins attempting to sink us," what happens?
Panic, utter chaos.
Yes. The officers, Chai and Du, They might start swinging their weapons blindly into the dark water.
Oh, right, yeah.
They might capsize the boat. The captive thieves they're transporting might use the distraction to riot or try to escape.
That's true.
By framing this life-or-death assassination attempt as a goofy juvenile fishing game, Jigong completely controls the environment.
He removes the terror.
He dictates the pacing. He gets the officers to physically help him pull the assassins on board without them even realizing they are engaging in combat.
Wow.
Until the threat is already neutralized and tied up on the deck.
That is brilliant. He literally turns a lethal ambush into a punchline.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, the assassins must be profoundly disoriented. They are geared up for this stealthy, violent clash, and instead they find themselves magically lassoed and hauled onto a boat by a ragged guy claiming he was just trying to catch dinner.
It's humiliating for them, honestly.
Yeah, and that disorientation sets up his next move, which I found totally unexpected. He doesn't arrest them, and he doesn't kill them.
No. He immediately pivots to a strategy of mercy, which completely subverts the standard conventions of this kind of story.
Right.
Sun Diliang and Sun Deming are tied up. They realize they are vastly outmatched, and they beg for their lives, claiming they were just following orders from friends.
Yeah.
Now, standard human law, the law officers Chai and Du represent, would demand their execution on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, they are enemy combatants caught in the act.
Exactly.
But Jigong recruits them.
He does. He extracts a promise that they will abandon their life of crime. But then he asks, if I let you go, can I use you if I need you?
Wow.
They're terrified and grateful, so they swear loyalty. He whispers some instructions to them, unties them, and lets them jump right back into the river.
He is essentially deploying them as double agents.
Precisely. To neutralize their two remaining partners who are still lurking out there somewhere. Han Long, the water yaksha, and Han King drill in the waves.
It's wildly efficient. He catches them without shedding a single drop of blood, and then turns them into his own private operatives to dismantle the rest of the criminal network.
It really demonstrates a core philosophical pillar of Jigong's character. Well, for him, true justice isn't about retribution. It's about resolution.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The legal system seeks to punish a threat. Jigong understands that reforming an enemy and turning them into an ally is a far more permanent and effective way to dismantle a threat. He heals the situation rather than just amputating the problem.
Meanwhile, Chai and Du are probably just standing there stunned. They wouldn't have even known there was a threat if it weren't for him.
They are completely out of their depth.
Yeah. So Jigong has total control on the water. The river is secure. But as they approach the city of Lin'an, Jigong does something really strange. He tells the officers he is leaving the boat and heading into the city on foot, alone. And this sudden departure is the author's way of setting up a brutal contrast. Because while Jigong can effortlessly disarm physical assassins on the river, he is about to walk into a city where violence is committed with pens, paper, and bureaucracy.
The narrative shift here is jarring. It really is. The moment Jigong arrives at Kontang Gate, the atmosphere just changes from whimsical dominance to grim reality.
Yeah, it gets dark fast.
He immediately intercepts a prisoner being paraded through the streets to his execution, accompanied by the beating of gongs. This introduces us to the tragic figure of Feng Wangxing.
The story of Feng Wangqing is basically a forensic nightmare. The text goes out of its way to establish that Feng is the antithesis of the assassins we just met. He is a master gold beater.
Right.
Let's provide some context for that, actually. A gold beater was a highly skilled artisan who hammered gold into incredibly thin leaves for gilding. It requires immense patience, precision, and dedication.
Yes.
And his personality matches his trade perfectly. He's a fundamentally good, honest, hardworking guy.
His backstory is built to evoke intense sympathy from the reader. We learn that Feng has spent the last 4 or 5 years living in Zhenjiang, far away from his own family in Lin'an.
Why was he there?
Because his junior apprentice brother Lu Wenyu was failing at business, Feng sacrificed half a decade of his life to step in, take over the management of his brother's shop, stop the financial bleeding, and return it to profitability.
He literally saved his brother from financial ruin.
He did.
So Feng is finally heading home. He's exhausted. The text notes he is actually quite ill from years of overwork. His brother, overwhelmed with gratitude, gives him a parting gift of 50 taels of silver for his journey. Now, keep that number locked in your head. 50 taels. Because Feng already had 20 taels of his own saved up, 50 plus 20, he is carrying exactly 70 taels of silver.
Right.
We need to explain what that actually means, because we aren't talking about spare change here, right?
Not at all. In the context of the Song Dynasty setting, a single tael of silver was a substantial amount of money. It was often enough to cover a commoner's living expenses for weeks, if not an entire month.
Oh, wow. So 70.
Carrying 70 taels is like walking around today with a briefcase containing $50,000 or $60,000 in cash.
Oh, my God.
It is life-changing money. It's capital to start a new business or secure his family's future for years.
So the stakes for him are incredibly high. And that specific sum, 70 taels, becomes the fulcrum upon which his entire life is basically destroyed. Because from the moment he arrives at the docks in Lin'an, he encounters a perfect, devastating storm of bad luck.
It plays out like a true crime timeline where every minor delay just compounds into a tragedy.
Exactly. Let's trace his steps really quick. So Feng arrives at the docks late. He tries to hire a connecting boat, but the boatmen refuse to take him because it's after dark.
Right.
He has no choice but to walk. He is severely ill. He is carrying this heavy, incredibly valuable luggage, and he's walking toward his home in the East City. Eventually, his body just gives out. He's only about 2 miles from his front door, but he physically cannot take another step.
So close.
Yeah, he sits down near a wall to rest and accidentally falls asleep.
And while he is unconscious, the local night watchman comes by. The text specifies this happens at the second drum.
The second drum, what does that mean?
For our listeners, ancient Chinese cities divided the night into 5 watches, signaled by the beating of drums. The second drum means it is roughly between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Okay, got it.
The watchman wakes Feng up and warns him that he can't sleep there because it's a dangerous area known for highway robberies.
Right. And Feng is groggy. He explains he just got off a boat from Zhenjiang. She's sick. He just needed to catch his breath. He reaches down to pick up his heavy bags, and that is when the watchman's lantern light sweeps across the ground just a few feet away.
Yeah.
There, lying in the shadows next to where Feng was sleeping, is a freshly murdered corpse.
It's horrifying. The victim has a massive fatal knife wound to the neck. The watchman understandably panics.
Oh, sure.
He grabs Feng and immediately accuses him of pretending to sleep to cover up the murder. He drags Feng, bags and all, straight to the county yamen, the local government office, to face the magistrate.
This is where the sheer cruelty of circumstantial evidence really takes over. The dead man is quickly identified as a Mr. Han, a manager of a local money shop. The investigators discover that just prior to his murder, Han had withdrawn a specific amount of money from a grain store.
Exactly 70 taels of silver.
And that money is missing from his body.
Right. So look at the equation presented to the local authorities here. You have a bleeding corpse.
Yeah.
You have a stranger found pretending to sleep inches away from the body.
Mm-hmm.
The victim is missing 70 taels of silver. You search the stranger's luggage, and he's carrying exactly 70 taels of silver.
I have to admit, when I first read this part, I stopped and thought, well, if I were a detective, that looks like a slam dunk.
It really does.
The mathematical coincidence is brutal, but it also made me question the structure of this narrative.
In what way?
Well, we literally just left a magical monk who can catch aquatic assassins with the piece of string.
Yeah.
And now we are dealing with a deeply realistic forensic tragedy where an innocent man's life is ruined by a mathematical anomaly. How does a reader reconcile these two vastly different realities existing in the same exact story?
They exist together because the author is making a profound point about the nature of danger.
Okay, unpack that for me.
The outlaws on the river, with their oil silk pants and their martial arts, they are easy for someone like Jigong to defeat. Why? Because their threat is overt. It's physical. You can see it, you can fight it, you can trap it with a rope.
Right.
But the danger Feng Wangking faces is systemic. It's institutional. You can't put a slip knot around a coincidence.
Oh, wow.
You can't punch a bureaucracy. Systemic danger is far more insidious because it operates under the guise of justice.
That is a brilliant distinction. The system itself is the villain, and the face of that villain is the newly promoted Kuantang County Magistrate Duan Buking.
Magistrate Duan is a fascinating, terrifying study in bureaucratic failure. He isn't a cackling evil mastermind. He is just intellectually lazy. When Feng is dragged into the yamen, Duan doesn't do any actual police work. He relies entirely on confirmation bias.
Let's talk about what he doesn't do, because the omissions are glaring here. He sees the corpse, he hears about the missing 70 taels, he finds the 70 taels in Feng's bag, and his brain simply shuts off.
Exactly. He stops investigating the moment the superficial facts fit his initial assumption.
Right.
He doesn't ask for a murder weapon. If Feng slashed this man's neck, where is the bloody knife?
Exactly.
He doesn't search for it. Furthermore, silver isn't just generic metal. It often bears the stamps or markings of the merchants who cast it or traded it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Duan doesn't attempt to trace the origin of Feng silver to see if it matches the grain store's records or Feng's brother's shop in Zhenjiang.
He just checks the boxes. Dead body plus 70 taels equals guilty. It's terrifying because it's so recognizable.
It happens all the time.
How often do we see this today? Not just in courts, but with internet sleuths or algorithmic matching. A few data points align, the math adds up on the surface, and an entire mob decides a person's guilt without ever digging an inch below the surface.
Right.
But because Feng is actually innocent, he vehemently denies the murder. He tells Duan the truth about his brother and his savings, and this is where the text gets incredibly dark. Because Magistrate Duan needs a confession to close the file, he resorts to severe torture.
And we have to look closely at how the torture is portrayed here. It isn't depicted as sadistic pleasure on the magistrate's part.
No, it's very clinical.
It's portrayed as standard administrative procedure. In the historical context of this legal system, a signed confession was often legally required to finalize a capital conviction.
So they had to get it.
Exactly. Duan has already decided Feng is guilty. The trial isn't about finding the truth. It's about generating the paperwork. So physical suffering is applied mechanically until the required document is produced.
The psychological insight the text gives us here is devastating. We get access to Feng's internal monologue while he is being beaten. He is in agony, his body is breaking down, and he thinks to himself, wronged by circumstances, but not by fate. This must be a karmic debt from a past life.
Yeah.
He rationalizes the torture, and simply to end the physical pain, he breaks. He tells the magistrate, "Don't use torture anymore, I killed him." He signs his own death warrant just to make the beating start.
It's a chillingly accurate depiction of why false confessions occur.
It's insane.
Feng realizes something profound in that moment of agony. The machinery of the state has already consumed him. The truth no longer matters. Only the process matters. His rationalization that this must be a karmic debt is an extreme psychological defense mechanism.
Wait, expand on that. Why does he need a defense mechanism? Why not just stay angry at the corrupt magistrate?
Because staying angry at a senseless, broken reality is psychologically unbearable.
Oh, I see.
When human justice is so completely nonsensical, when an honest man can be tortured to death just for sleeping near a corpse, the mind desperately seeks order. It's less terrifying for Feng to believe he is suffering for some forgotten sin from a past life than it is to accept that the universe is just blindly, randomly cruel and the justice system is a farce.
Wow.
He invents a supernatural reason for his suffering to regain a sense of cosmic order, even as he is signing his life away.
That is heartbreaking. He has to blame his own past life because blaming the current reality offers no comfort whatsoever.
Exactly.
And Magistrate Duan couldn't care less why Feng is confessing. He just gets him to sign the deposition, finalizes his neat little file, and sends the capital case up the chain of command for approval. Which brings us to the showdown at the prefect's court.
Yes. The judicial hierarchy requires the local magistrate, Duan, to submit capital cases to a higher authority, the prefect, Zhao Fengshan. And this setting allows the author to explore the clash of status, perception, and reality.
The scene in Prefect Zhao's courtyard is heavy. Feng is brought out. His entire family has rushed to the court, his parents, his wife, his children, and Feng is saying his final goodbyes. We have to picture the visceral grief of this moment.
It's awful.
Feng turns to his elderly parents and weeps, saying, "You wasted your effort raising me. I can't care for you in your old age. Just buy me a coffin and take my body back." The family is wailing. Everyone watching is in tears. It is the absolute destruction of a good family, all built on a lazy assumption.
The author lingers on this grief to highlight the human cost of bureaucratic apathy. Magistrate Duan's failure to look for a murder weapon isn't just a procedural error. It is a bomb going off in the middle of a family.
And right in the middle of this intense, weeping tragedy, in walks Jigong.
Finally.
Our ragged monk arrives at the Yamen gates. The guards try to stop him because he looks like a beggar, but Jigong boldly drops his name. He says, "Go tell your master that Jidian of Lingjin Temple is here." And the reaction from the high court is instantaneous.
Prefect Zhao has been waiting for 2 months for news from Jigong regarding the capture of that major criminal, Lin'an. When Zhao hears that Jigong is at the gate, he doesn't just invite him in. He physically descends the steps of the Great Hall.
He goes out to meet him.
Yes. He bows respectfully. He asks the monk about his exhausting journey.
The visual contrast in this courtroom is incredible, and the irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. You have Prefect Zhao, a high-ranking regional official, bowing and scraping to this monk in torn, dirty robes.
Right.
And then you have Magistrate Duan, the guy who tortured the false confession out of Feng, sitting on the sidelines. The text gives us Duan's internal monologue, too. He sneers at Jigong and thinks, "I'm an appointed official of the emperor, a parent to the people. How does a poor monk deserve to sit in the Great Hall?"
That thought process from Magistrate Duan is the crux of the entire conflict.
He is judging entirely by appearances. Again, he judged Feng's guilt by the superficial appearance of the 70 tails. And now he is judging Jigong's worth by his ragged clothes. He is completely blinded by his own ego. He has no idea that Jigong is highly respected by the prefect and is actually acting as a proxy for the incredibly powerful Chancellor Qin.
And this contrast between Prefect Zhao and Magistrate Duan is how the text offers a nuanced critique of the bureaucracy itself. It's not a blanket statement that all government is inherently evil.
Right.
Prefect Zhao represents the ideal official. When Zhao first read Duan's paperwork on Feng's case, he didn't just rubber stamp it. He immediately recognized that the confession was flawed.
Oh, he caught it.
He noticed the language was vague, the details didn't align. He actually rejected the initial report and demanded this in-person retrial.
I'm really glad you brought that up because Zhao isn't an idiot. He actually reads the file. He applies critical thinking.
Exactly. But Magistrate Duan represents the dangerous everyday reality of governance. The system might have capable people at the top, like Zhao, but it is built on a foundation of people like Duan, people who value procedure over truth.
But here's the tragic catch. Even with a smart, critical thinker like Zhao in charge, the system is still on the verge of executing an innocent man.
Yeah.
Because Zhao, despite his doubts, is still operating within the rigid rules of the court. He has a signed confession in front of him. He has the circumstantial math of the 70 tails. The human institutions, the laws, the courts, the magistrates have failed so profoundly that they literally cannot heal themselves from within.
That is the ultimate takeaway. The bureaucratic knot is tied so incredibly tight that no human official, no matter how well-intentioned, can untangle it.
It's just...
It requires an external shock. It requires the intervention of the living Buddha.
Which is Jigong.
Yes. Jigong is an outsider who is entirely unbound by the system's rules, its status markers, or its assumptions. He laughs right in the middle of this grim courtroom, signaling that he is about to shatter the illusions that are costing a man his life.